Good morning. Wegovy is a diabetes and weight loss drug, and it was recently approved by Chinese regulators for sale here in China. Toripalimab is a cancer drug made here in China, and it was recently approved by regulators in the United States. Here is the announcement for Wegovy in Western media. What was most newsworthy to these news outlets was the price. Wegovy that would be sold in China is priced far below what they charge in the United States. Fortune, Bloomberg, Biospace, all of them lead with the fact that the price is so different. Wegovy is marketed by Novo Nordisk, and they will sell the drug in China after getting approval 5 months ago. Wegovy here will be priced at 1,400 renminbi. That's about $190. In the US, the price is over $1,300. Here is the announcement for a drug that's going the other way, from China to the United States. Toripalimab was approved by the Food and Drug Administration last year. It's an immunotherapy drug to treat head and neck cancer. And the drug is made by Shanghai Junshi Biosciences, a Chinese company. We see again the huge difference in price. In China, Toripalimab costs $280 per dose. And in the US, the wholesale price will be $8,892, more than 30 times as much. To this Shanghai company, an American patient is worth 30 patients who are here in China. To Novo Nordisk, the maker of Wegovy, one American patient is worth about 7 Chinese patients. That's the math. In the United States, our legislators and our policymakers are passing laws and regulations that are intended to get China out of our supply chains for pharmaceuticals. These efforts will have zero chance of working. The semiconductor sanctions on Chinese companies have failed. The sanctions on Russian oil companies have also failed. And if you consider the enormous costs involved in pumping oil out of the ground and putting it on ships and sailing it across the oceans of the world, those sanctions failed at profit margins of just $1 or $2 per barrel. The profit margins on drugs coming from outside the United States to the US market is thousands of dollars per patient per year. China has already built out supply chains of some of the most expensive drugs already. That green line that goes from flat to vertical is US pharmaceutical imports from China. And it's especially notable in the most expensive medicines. Chinese shipments of heart medicine are up 1,147% since 2017. And for cancer, it's up over 5 times, 401%. Pharmaceutical company executives know where the money is, and they know what to say publicly to make sure they keep getting it. Here's the Wall Street Journal from 2 weeks ago. US drug makers are breaking up with Chinese companies and their supply chains. Big drug companies like AstraZeneca, which is a UK company, and smaller ones are saying it's time to reduce China risk. That's what they're saying. Here is the reality. US and European companies rely on China for lab services, testing, and the most important ingredients. Most of the active pharmaceutical ingredients come from China. The cost for top-level work in China is lower than in Western countries and faster too. 80% of US biotech companies have contracts with at least one Chinese company. So our public officials are saying they want to get Chinese companies out of our supply chains for pharmaceuticals. And our drug companies are telling the Wall Street Journal that they want to get Chinese companies out of our supply chains for pharmaceuticals. But here's what they're actually doing. These are the top 10 life science out-licensed deals from China outbound the rest of the world. So these are Chinese drugs that are made here, but they're just being marketed under a different label. In the territory column, fourth one over, that describes the marketing scope of the licensee, who's in the second column. Worldwide ex-China is the most common for the major drugs, 5 out of the top 7 deals. AstraZeneca, they may be telling reporters at the Wall Street Journal that they want to get Chinese companies out of their supply chains, but in 2023 they signed 2 of the 10 biggest licensing deals here. They paid over $2 billion to Echogene and over $1 billion to KYM Bio. The other companies in the top 10, Bristol Myers, Merck, GSK, Novo Nordisk, average deal size is $2.3 billion. 2 weeks ago, Merck just signed a $3.3 billion deal because their big selling cancer drug will be off patent in 2028 and they need a new high profit drug to sell in its place. Over a quarter of all the clinical trials take place in China, and that's 50% higher than the recent averages. The clinical work is being done here, the labs are here, and the patient populations are here. But the profits are almost all in the United States. Remember Wegovy. A fat American on Wegovy is worth more than 7 fat Chinese to Novo Nordisk. Every American taking this cancer drug is worth more than 30 Chinese, but the cost of the manufacturer is the same. And since the election, we're hearing lots of news about what the new tariffs are going to be. For most products, the tariffs are just irrelevant. It's just a high tax with another name, and you can make the tariff 100%. And there's still no manufacturer in the US that can beat the price. And for stuff like Toripalimab or heart medication, where there is literally no other manufacturer anyway, and the price is already 30 times the import cost, it's just another tax that the company is happy to pass along. And the companies will take these giant profits and buy up Chinese companies and licensure rights to make sure they can keep putting their own labels on the box. This is Blue Moon Valley near Lijiang, Yunnan province. Be good.
Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. Everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks it will be open. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father